Being on the A-list does not mean that you will be busy till the end of time. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are 10 celebrities who can't find work anymore. Number 10, Freddie Prinzr Jr. Freddie was on track to be one of the greatest film stars of all time in the early 90s and early 2000s, starring in movies like She's All That and the live-action Scooby-Doo movies as Fred. Well, after the second Scooby-Doo movie, he slowly started to vanish from Hollywood, only making small appearances in film and TV. For an actor of his caliber, this was a weird move, and fans were a little confused, but it was revealed that Freddie traded his A-list status to be a writer for the World Wrestling Entertainment, aka the WWE. As someone who grew up watching the WWE, I was just shocked and a little bit curious when I read about this information. It turns out Freddie was behind some classic stories over the years. For those who still think wrestling is real, I'm sorry, it's not. Freddie was behind the scenes running the show and literally being the guy who decided who won titles and who got their face caved in with a chair. The WWE is a fun place, and because of how fun the internet is, we can't even show you clips from things that he wrote because wrestling is violent. What's violent about picking your buddy up over your shoulders and slamming them on some concrete, huh? It's very nice. It's a welcoming thing. Instead of working in front of the camera, he was able to make a nice job for himself at a desk. He does not write for the WWE these days. Instead, he opts to spend more time with his family. Number 9, Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been controversial since day one, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood. Following the end of his Disney series Even Stevens, Shia kept his acting career going pretty strong, appearing in classics like Holes as the main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until he starred in the Transformers series that he started going a little cuckoo. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and as a person has been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that his method acting is just way too much and he smells bad all the time, not to mention the several public art displays that have been gifted to the world in the mid-2010s, and of course who could forget the passionate and motivational video where he told us that nothing was impossible and we could do it. While he may still be working today, he's usually the one who backs the projects. In the eyes of Hollywood, Shia canceled himself the minute he stood in front of a green screen. Remember guys, do it. Nothing's impossible, okay? There's also a ton of stuff surrounding heavier subject matter, but again, I've talked about that in another video, so let's move on. Number 8, James Franco. James placed himself in a bubble of public exile when he used his powers for evil. The dude who is known for playing people like Harry Osborn or Tommy Wiseau, multiple collaborations with funny man Seth Rogen, who was his longtime buddy. People thought that this guy was going nowhere but up. He even shifted from comedy into some more serious roles, playing in a movie called True Story as a man on death row telling his tale of woe to Jonah Hill, who plays a writer. Apparently James has a problem keeping his hands to himself though, especially when it comes to his acting students. In 2018, 5 students in his Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told the Los Angeles Times that Franco had used his position to exploit them physically. 2 of those women sued Franco and he was forced to settle outside of court and fork over $2.23 million. At the time, he was writing, acting, and directing a show for HBO, which he was allowed to stay on because it was going to be canceled anyway, so who cared? Not only did that show get canceled, but the public outcry forced Seth Rogen to drop his longtime pal, telling the Times of London that the scandal had changed their relationship forever. There is a simple lesson there. Just keep your hands to yourself and be a decent human being. It's pretty simple. Number 7, Katherine Heigl. Kathy was riding high back in 2007. The former Grey's Anatomy star not only won an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, but she also started moving onto the big screen with massive success, starring in rom-coms and feature comedies like Knocked Up alongside Seth Rogen. Unfortunately, that rise quickly became a free fall as an ill-fated Vanity Fair interview the following January sealed her fate. In the interview, Katherine made a move that still has people scratching their heads. She basically bashed the film that made her famous, claiming that it painted women as shrew, humorless, and uptight, while also blaming Seth Rogen for making the men lovable, goofy, and fun. The film still sits at 89% on Rotten Tomatoes because while she may say it was a problematic movie, a lot of people agree that it's a fun movie with great acting. Seth felt betrayed by the comments as they never had any fights on set, it never seemed like she was uncomfortable at any point, and the comments combined with the negativity towards her Grey's Anatomy writers, where she literally said she didn't want an Emmy because she thought the material she used wasn't good enough, caused her agents to drop her as a client, and her time in Hollywood quickly came to a screeching halt. Number 6, Frankie Muniz. Frankie was a child actor that was the lead of his own show and eventually his own little franchise. Remember Malcolm in the Middle or Cody Banks? Best spy on the planet, move over James Bond, bring me Cody Banks. Considering the success of Malcolm and Cody, he was supposed to be the next big thing in Hollywood, but being a child actor can be a 50-50 gig. You either keep acting for the rest of your life or you pivot and you use the money you've earned to do something you actually love. love. For Frankie, he decided to pivot and start racing cars. Not on the streets, although that would be interesting. No, Frankie was racing stock cars for NASCAR. At first, he was just racing around regular tracks in smaller settings and smaller numbers. In fact, during that time, he got into a nasty car accident that left the internet convinced that he had lost his memory, like he didn't even remember Malcolm in the Middle. Well, that's a lie. He did get into a crash, but he only suffered mild memory loss, and it was new memories, not old ones. These days, he can still be spotted behind the wheel of the number 30 car. Number 5, Amanda Bynes. Amanda had her own show and a well-established career before she was even in her 20s. The Amanda Bynes Show was super popular on Nickelodeon. I personally grew up with the kids-based sketch series, and Amanda was asked to participate in quite a few cult classic movies like She's the Man, Easy A, and What a Girl Wants. She was on track to have a long and just stellar career in Hollywood, but she had a bad couple of years. Having a bit of a mental health struggle that became very public, she was slowly blacklisted from Hollywood and stopped appearing in films altogether by 2012. However, she has not just been sitting on a couch with her finger up her rear, no, she actually decided to get clean and get busy in the world of fashion. In the past few years, she decided to go to fashion school, and in 2020 announced that she would be releasing a clothing line very soon. The brand Deer, developed by Amanda Bynes, has received a ton of praise as good clothes made by their childhood hero. So far, it's looking like she'll continue to make clothes for the foreseeable future and is happy to do so. So, good for Amanda. Number 4, Dylan Sprouse. One half of a dynamic duo from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Dylan and his brother Cole were set up for life. They were a part of one of the best shows that Disney has ever made, spawning a series of spin-offs, a movie, and almost a third series, but Disney lowballed them and made a really bad pitch, so that didn't happen. After their time at Disney, they went on separate paths. Cole decided to stick to his acting chops, and he was casted as Jughead in the series Riverdale that I used to watch a lot, but kind of zoned out when everyone started playing D&D. However, Dylan switched gears and decided to do something that he had been curious about for a long time. Even when he was in his teens, he had been curious about brewing mead. It's a no-no juice made from honey and sugar bases rather than hops. He started making his own and eventually used his money to open his own brewery in 2017. All Wise Meadery is mainly an online store that ships and sells the products developed by Zack from Zack and Cody. I don't even like no-no juice, and I would buy a case of this stuff just for the fun of having it. Number 3, Jeff Cohen. Jeff was a child star for a hot minute back in the 1980s and the 1990s. His name is not familiar, but his face should be. Jeff was the man who played Chunk in the classic kids action mystery comedy The Goonies, a character that is still loved today. Unfortunately, following his time on set, the only jobs that he started getting offered were that of a chubby, nerdy kid, and while he was great as Chunk, he understandably didn't want to be typecasted as the same guy in every single movie he did. Something in him told him that Hollywood was just the wrong place to be, so he decided to pivot and went to school. He got into shape and went to school to become a lawyer and even opened his own law firm that he's still running to this day. If you've been injured or are seeking compensation in a court of law, Chunk from The Goonies might be the man handling your case. Number 2, Gina Carano. Gina was slowly building a name for herself in the early 2010s as a woman to be feared on screen, portraying characters like Riley Hicks in the Fast and Furious franchise, with her most recent role as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, a series that has decided to move on without Miss Carano on set for the simple fact that she's very misguided on her views towards the world. In 2021, Carano made a series of politically charged social media posts, the most damaging of which came when she compared modern American political polarization to camps in Germany in 1945. Those aren't the same thing. She also mocked the usage of face coverings during 2020 and was one of the many celebrities who claimed voter fraud following Trump's loss during the election. To throw a cherry on top of the trash sundae that she made, Gina also made her opinions on pronouns known, claiming that hers were beep boop beep. Oh yeah, well beep this. Screw you, Gina! All of this combined eventually culminated in the hashtag FireGinaCarano on Twitter, which began trending fast, forcing Disney as well as her management company to cut their ties with Gina. Needless to say, The Mandalorian's doing just fine without her, and the rest of Hollywood is very happy that she's dug herself into a deep, dark, cringy grave. And at number 1, Kanye West. He's Kanye West. Do I really need to say more about that? No, it's about it. He's a bad guy who made some bad tweets. If you don't know, Google it. Those are the A-list celebrities who just can't find work anymore. Thank you for stopping beyond the screen today. Drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video and follow the channel for more celebrity content each and every day. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. A transaction is